They warned me not to go. They called it the scam capital of the world. Said I'd come back broke, heartbroken, or not come back at all. But I had to know the truth. About my sister. About the money. About the rumors. And I definitely didn't expect to fall in love with the one man I was sent there to expose. I never even heard of Eldora City before everything fell apart. My sister, Melanie, had wired $12,000 to someone there just before disappearing. She said it was for a business investment, some tech startup that promised massive returns. It didn't sound like her, but after our parents died, she'd become more impulsive and desperate. 2 months later, she was gone. Phone off. Social media deleted. No note, nothing. The police weren't helpful. They called her an adult making a regrettable life choice. I knew better. That's when I started hearing whispers about Eldora, a glittering, dangerous place somewhere in West Africa. Online, people called it the scam capital of the world, a digital jungle full of catfishers, crypto tricksters, and fake lovers. But beneath the headlines and the horror stories, one name kept surfacing like smoke from a fire: Kale Madu. Some said he was the scammer king, rich, ruthless, always one step ahead. Others claimed he was a philanthropist, a genius, a ghost. I booked a flight. I told no one. The moment I landed, the air was thick with heat, music, and secrets. The taxi driver eyed me through the mirror and muttered, "You look like trouble, or trouble's looking for you." He wasn't wrong. I wasn't prepared for what I'd find, and I definitely wasn't prepared for him. Eldora City didn't just hum, it pulsed. Neon signs flickered next to street vendors selling everything from fried plantains to counterfeit Rolexes. Every corner had a story. Every smile had a price. I checked into a modest guest house on the outskirts of Makari district, where the police presence was minimal and the Wi-Fi signal even weaker, but it was the closest I could get to where Melanie's last bank transaction was traced. That night, I met Tariq. He was loud, flashy, wore knockoff designer clothes like they were armor, and called everyone boss, even women. But he had street smarts and information, which I needed more than pride. "You looking for your sister?" "Yeah, she sent money here to a startup. This address." Tariq squinted at the paper I held. "You don't go to that part of town unless you want to disappear too." "Then I guess I'm already halfway there." He hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "I'll take you, but if we run into Kale, we walk away, fast, understand?" Kale again. I didn't expect to meet him, not really. I thought he'd be one of those puppet masters you never actually see. But fate had other plans. We drove deep into the heart of the city, past blinking billboards and shady warehouses. Tariq pulled up in front of a private club that looked like a mirage. Marble pillars, velvet rope, and security with earpieces and heavy attitudes. "That's where the big boys play," he said. "And that's where your tech startup is registered." Clever name, fake purpose. Then I saw him. He stepped out of a black SUV like a prince returning from war. Tall, dark-skinned, sharply dressed in a tailored navy suit. No entourage, no fanfare, just presence, commanding, dangerous, beautiful. Kale Madu. He walked past us, eyes straight ahead, like he hadn't noticed. But when he was a few feet away, he stopped, turned slightly. Our eyes met. I expected cold calculation. Instead, I saw curiosity, recognition, and then he smiled. It was a half smile, one that said, "I know who you are. I know why you're here, and I dare you to come closer." He disappeared behind the club doors. Tariq exhaled beside me. "You just made a very big mistake." I couldn't tell him the truth. The real mistake wasn't coming to Eldora. The real mistake was how my heart reacted when Kale Madu smiled. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was afraid, though maybe I should have been, but because I kept replaying that moment. The look in Kale's eyes. It wasn't just curiosity. It was familiarity. Like he already knew me. Or worse, like he knew Melanie. The next morning, I went back to the club. It was closed. Security ignored me at first, until I slipped one of them a crisp bill and said, I was looking for investment opportunities. He laughed, then leaned in. You don't come back here alone, Madam America. This place eats tourists for breakfast. My advice, go home. I should have listened. But that same afternoon, a note slid under the door of my guest house room. No sender, no handwriting, just 3 typed words on a white card. You're being followed. I ran to the window. Nothing, just street kids playing soccer and an old woman washing clothes in a bucket. I was about to panic, really panic, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Red dress, balcony, don't move. I was wearing a red dress. I was on the balcony. I froze. Another message followed seconds later. If you want answers, be at the rooftop of Hotel Eldora. PM, come alone. I could have ignored it. Called the embassy, gone home. But I needed answers more than safety. That night, the rooftop of Hotel Eldora was quiet to quiet. The city's lights blinked in the distance like a warning. He was already there. Kale stood by the edge, drinking something clear from a short glass. He didn't turn around when I approached. You shouldn't be here, he said, voice low and steady. You're not built for this city. Then why invite me? He finally turned. His eyes held something unreadable: regret, amusement, a test. Because you're asking the right questions. And because your sister wasn't. There it was. The confirmation. He knew her. Is she alive? I asked. Kale studied me for a long time. Then he walked toward me. Close enough for me to smell the citrus on his cologne and see the scar just beneath his jawline. That depends, he said softly, on how far you're willing to go. I came here for the truth. No, you came here for justice. Or revenge. Or maybe closure. But this city doesn't trade in those things. It trades in power. And power comes with a price. What price? Kale smiled again, but this time, it wasn't charming. It was dark. Your heart, your name, your old life. Are you ready to lose all of them? I didn't answer, because in that moment, I wasn't sure if I wanted to run or stay. I should have walked away. Kale's words hung in the air like smoke, thick, lingering, dangerous. Your heart, your name, your old life. He wasn't being poetic. He was giving me a warning disguised as a promise. And still, I stayed. What happened to Melanie? I asked again. Kale moved to a small table set against the rooftop railing. He poured a second glass and gestured for me to sit. Your sister was smart, he began. Too smart. She thought she could play the game without learning the rules. She asked questions. She moved money. She got close to the wrong people. And then she vanished. That's not an answer. It's the best one you'll get unless you help me. Help him? I didn't even know what he really did. Help you with what? Kale leaned forward. The city lights lit up his face just enough to make him look almost human. One of my former partners betrayed me. He's now running scams under my name. He's reckless, sloppy, and dangerous. If I go after him, it starts a war. And what does this have to do with me? He trusts foreigners, especially ones that look like they don't belong. He'll talk to you. He might even brag. And if he knows what happened to your sister, he'll slip. He always does. He slid a file across the table. Inside, a photo of a man with a smug smile, a chain around his neck, and Melanie, my sister, blurred in the background of one of the pictures. My heart dropped. Is she alive? I asked again, my voice trembling. Kale's expression changed. For the first time, there was something close to compassion in his eyes. I think so, but time isn't on your side, or hers. There was a beat of silence. The city buzzed below, oblivious to the storm brewing above it. What do I have to do? I finally asked. Kale stood. Go to Club Umber tomorrow night. Dress like you belong. Flirt. Ask no direct questions. Let him talk. Record everything. And if anything feels off, walk away, fast. And if he recognizes me? Kale's eyes darkened. He won't, but if he does, he'll kill you. That night, I stared at the ceiling of my guest house, file in hand, heart in pieces. Melanie was out there, somewhere, and now I was in too deep to turn back. But the strangest part, I trusted Kale. and I hated myself for it. Club Umber wasn't just a nightclub, it was a kingdom. Velvet ropes, gold lighting, VIP booths high above the dance floor like thrones, and music so loud, it shook the air. I'd never felt more out of place or more exposed. Kale had sent a dress earlier that day. Red again, fitted, dangerous. The kind of dress that said I belonged, even if I didn't. Tariq didn't know what I was doing, only that I needed a ride. He dropped me off 2 blocks away with a warning and a sigh. This city doesn't play fair, neither should you. I walked through the doors like I owned the place. Confidence was my only armor. I scanned the room, careful not to look like I was scanning. And then I saw him. Beaumais, the man from the file. He was posted up in the VIP booth surrounded by women, drinks, and smoke. Loud, arrogant, slouched back like the world owed him. I waited near the bar. Let him notice me. It didn't take long. He leaned toward one of the women and whispered something. She looked me up and down and walked away just like that. A vacancy created for me. You look expensive, he said when I reached his booth. What's a girl like you doing in a place like this? Looking for trouble, I replied with a smile I didn't feel. Then you found the right man. We talked, flirted, I played the role well, laughed at his stories, let him believe I was impressed by his wealth and reputation. But I was really watching, listening, recording. He bragged about a digital empire, about weak foreigners sending him thousands in crypto. He mentioned a girl once too nosy for her own good, said she tried to outsmart the game. My chest tightened. What happened to her? I asked, pretending to be amused. He took a long drag from his cigar and leaned in close. Let's just say, some people leave this city in pieces. That was all I needed. I excused myself, phone in my clutch, heart pounding. But as I walked toward the exit, I felt it. Eyes. I glanced up and there he was. Kale, in the shadows of the second-floor balcony, watching me. Only this time, he wasn't alone. Standing beside him was another man, tall, bald, with a deep scar across his forehead. His eyes locked onto mine, and a chill swept over me. I didn't know who he was yet, but I would, because the deeper I went, the more I realized. This wasn't just a scam ring, it was a war, and I was the bait. I didn't go back to my guest house that night. I couldn't. I kept walking, heart racing, trying to process everything. Beauma's words, the photo of Melanie, Kale watching me from the shadows like a puppeteer pulling strings. He was everywhere and yet always out of reach. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Room 701, Hotel Valen. Now. No name, but I knew. Kale opened the door before I knocked. Like he'd been standing there, waiting. Like he always knew my next move before I did. He didn't say anything, just motioned for me to come in. You said he might know something, I snapped, stepping inside. You didn't say he'd basically confessed to killing her. Kale poured himself a drink. The calmest man in a burning building. He didn't confess, he implied. There's a difference. That's sick. She's my sister. I came here to find her, not to play mind games with some sociopath in a VIP booth. And yet you played the role beautifully, he replied coolly. You're better at this than you think. Stop trying to compliment me while people's lives hang in the balance. He paused, then set the glass down. I'm trying to keep you alive. That quieted me for a moment. Then tell me the whole truth, Kale. No riddles, no half smiles. Who was Melanie to you? Silence. Then, slowly, she wasn't just some investor. She worked for me. I stared at him. What? She came here on her own. Smart, ambitious, she figured out a backdoor into one of our crypto laundering funnels. Impressed me. I hired her. You used her. No, he said firmly. I protected her until she started asking questions that threatened everything. So what? She disappeared and that's just it. Kale's eyes darkened. She didn't vanish. She was taken. And if Beauma said what I think he did, then he wasn't bluffing. I sank onto the edge of the bed, the weight of it all collapsing on my chest. You should have told me from the start. You wouldn't have trusted me. I still don't. He moved toward me, slowly, like I was glass on the edge of a shelf. but you feel something. I see it in your eyes. I looked up at him, heart pounding for all the wrong reasons. Feelings don't matter, not if you're lying. He knelt down to meet my eyes, his voice low. Then let me prove I'm not. Let me help you find your sister. But after this, there's no going back. Meaning? Meaning, once you step into this next part, you're not just a visitor. You're in the game. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of fear, or even heartbreak, but because I couldn't tell where Kale ended and my obsession began. I came here to find my sister. Now I was falling for the man who may have destroyed her, or might be the only one who can save her. And either way, I was already into deep. It started with a bracelet, not mine, hers. Melanie always wore this ridiculous, chunky charm bracelet. Silver with tiny trinkets she collected from every place we'd ever been. Paris, Toronto, even a dumb souvenir shop from a road trip in Utah. When I first saw it in the file Kale gave me, I missed it. But now, it jumped off the page. In one of the blurry photos from Boma's social media, there it was wrapped around the wrist of a woman turning away from the camera. Her face obscured, but the bracelet? Undeniable. That photo was only a month old. Melanie wasn't dead. She was close. I rushed to Kale's safe house with shaking hands. The moment he opened the door, I shoved the photo in his face. This is her. And this bracelet is her way of speaking to me. She left it for a reason. Kale scanned the image with that calculating look of his. Always 3 moves ahead. Always 10 layers deep. Where was this taken? I asked. He hesitated, then pointed to a barely visible neon sign in the background. That's the North Quarter, abandoned tech hub turned data laundering den. Boma's crew uses it as a ghost warehouse, untraceable IP addresses, dark web operations. It's where the money moves. Then we go there. It's not that simple. I don't care. They'll kill you. Then don't let them. A beat of silence passed. Then Kale gave me a small nod. Give me 24 hours. If she left a message, I'll find it. The next evening, Kale handed me a USB drive, plain, black, no markings. We found it hidden in a Wi-Fi repeater Melanie had access to, one of the few pieces of equipment left behind at North Quarter. She embedded something inside the code. I slid it into the laptop. A blank screen popped up. Then, static. Then a pixelated video loaded, and my heart almost stopped. It was Melanie, hair messy, eyes wide. She looked terrified, but alive. If you're seeing this, she whispered, then I failed. I got too close. Boma is not who he says he is, and Kale's not the boss. I froze. He works for someone else, someone higher. Everything he's told you is half a truth. I couldn't get out, but maybe you can, or maybe you're already part of it. The screen cut to black. I stared at the screen, numb. Melanie hadn't just left a warning, she'd shattered my reality. Kale wasn't the king of the empire. He was just a pawn. Or worse, the real spider at the center of the web. And I'd trusted him. I'd kissed him. I'd started to fall for him. The video haunted me like a ghost. Melanie's words echoed in my mind. Kale's not the boss. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think straight. The man I had trusted with my sister's life, had he been playing me from the start? Kale wasn't the kingpin. He was a middleman, a puppet, his hands tied to someone far more dangerous, far more elusive. But who? I stood on the balcony of the safe house, staring out at the sprawling city below. Everything felt wrong, and just as I was about to lose myself to the panic rising in my chest, Kale's voice cut through the silence. You saw the video. I didn't turn around. Why didn't you tell me? He stepped closer, and for the first time, there was no calculated mask on his face. Only rawness, pain, but there was something else too, a flicker of fear. Because I didn't want you involved. Involved? You let me play your game. You let me think you were the one in control. I was in control. He stepped into my line of sight, his voice harsh now. But the moment you started asking questions, I lost that. I didn't want you to know the truth, because now you're into deep. I shook my head, rejecting his words. You're lying. You never wanted me to know the truth. You wanted me to be another pawn. You used me, Kale. He didn't flinch, didn't apologize, but there was something about his eyes, a glimpse of regret. Maybe it was real, maybe it wasn't, but I couldn't afford to care anymore. You're not just a pawn, Gabrielle. You're part of it now. A chill crept down my spine. I knew what he meant. There was no turning back. What does that mean? I asked, my voice trembling, despite the coldness inside me. He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a slip of paper. There's someone else you need to meet. She's the key. I looked down at the paper. The name written on it was unfamiliar, but the address? My heart skipped a beat. This is where Melanie is, I asked, my voice rising. Kale didn't speak at first. He simply nodded. The air between us was thick with tension, with things unsaid. I swallowed the bitterness building in my throat. I should have never trusted you. You had no choice, he shot back, his voice quieter now. And neither do you now. I turned away, walking toward the door. He followed me. Where are you going? He demanded. I'm going to find the truth. No more lies. The door slammed behind me as I stepped into the elevator, and that's when I saw him. The bald man, the one who had been with Kale at Club Umber, the one with the scar. He was standing in the lobby, talking to a woman dressed in all black. His eyes flicked to me as I passed. There was something predatory in his gaze. I didn't stop. I couldn't, not now. I needed answers, and I wasn't going to let Kale or anyone stop me. The further I went, the more I realized how far I'd fallen. I wasn't just a visitor anymore. I was in their world, Kale's world, a world of lies, betrayal, and broken promises. But that wasn't what scared me the most. What scared me was that I was no longer sure who I could trust: Kale, Boma, the scarred man, or the woman I was about to meet. The address Kale gave me led me to a quiet part of the city, an industrial zone, surrounded by nothing but tall, empty buildings and an air of suffocating secrecy. The woman I was supposed to meet, according to Kale, could give me the answers I was desperately chasing. She was supposed to be the key. I pulled up to the address and parked across the street. The building was unmarked, nothing but a rusted metal door and a flickering security camera. I waited for a moment, heart pounding, before gathering the strength to walk toward it. The woman who answered the door wasn't who I expected. She was tall, with short cropped blonde hair and piercing green eyes that looked straight through me. She didn't smile, didn't offer a handshake. She simply stepped aside to let me in. Come in, Kale has briefed me. I froze in the doorway. You know Kale? Of course. She raised an eyebrow. And I know you, Gabrielle, right? I nodded slowly, still unsure if I could trust her. The room inside was sparse, cold concrete floors, a single light bulb dangling overhead, and a desk cluttered with laptops and old files. There was a map on the wall, dotted with pins in various places around the world. But what caught my attention was the photo sitting on the desk. It was of Melanie, not from a year ago, but from only weeks before. She was sitting in a chair, her expression tense. She looked like she was being watched. What's this? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The woman didn't look at me immediately. Instead, she pulled a file from the stack on her desk and slid it toward me. Everything you need to know about the man you're trusting, she said coldly. And everything you don't. I sat down, flipping open the file. Inside were pages of documents, contracts, and photos of Kale, ones I'd never seen before. His meetings with shadowy figures, his connections to Boma, and his ties to a network of international money laundering that stretched across the globe. But what shook me the most was the last photo. It was Kale, and the woman in the picture with Melanie, the woman standing in front of me. You're the one behind this, I whispered, realizing too late what it all meant. She didn't deny it. She simply gave a bitter smile. You really thought you were the one pulling the strings here, didn't you? My stomach churned as the pieces fell into place. You're not just some informant. You're Kale's superior, the real boss. Her smile widened. That's right. But Kale doesn't know everything. In fact, he's more of a tool than you realize. He's the face of this operation. But the real work, the real money, comes from behind the scenes. And Melanie? I managed, struggling to breathe through the wave of betrayal. She leaned back in her chair, crossing her arms as if I were some child asking questions that didn't matter anymore. Melanie was a problem, a loose end. She found something she shouldn't have, and because of that, she became expendable. I felt the room spin. You killed her, my voice cracked. No, but I did give the order to make her disappear. She said it like it was just another Tuesday. She was too smart for her own good. Just like you. I stood, pushing the chair back, my hands shaking. Why am I even here? Why did you bring me into this? She stood up too, slowly, like we were both in this waiting game. Because, Gabrielle, you're already in it. You've been playing a part in this without even knowing. Now you have a choice. I looked at her, heart pounding in my throat. What choice? You can walk away right now. We'll make sure you disappear clean slate, or… Her smile returned, colder this time. You can stay and help me clean up the mess your sister started. But remember, there's no going back from this. Once you know too much, you're already part of it. The weight of her words crashed down on me. I could walk away. I could leave this entire nightmare behind. But what would happen to Kale? What would happen to Melanie? What would happen to me? I was in too deep. I could feel it now, the pull of the web, its threads wrapping around me tighter, binding me to this dark world, where loyalty was a currency and betrayal was a constant. And in the end, I wasn't just chasing answers. I was being hunted. The woman her stood there, watching me like a predator waiting for its prey to make the first move. The air in the room grew thick, suffocating. Every breath I took felt like I was inhaling smoke. She was right, I realized. I was already part of it. Everything that had happened, everything I'd done, had already tied me to this dark, twisted underworld. Walking away wasn't an option anymore. There was no clean slate, no escape. But could I go further? Could I become part of this world? The world I had once despised, the one I'd thought I was just a visitor in. I couldn't ignore it. Not when I had one last chance to find Melanie's truth, and not when Kale's life, his future, was now on the line. What's it going to be, Gabrielle? She asked, her voice cool, expectant. Are you going to walk away, or are you going to embrace the power you have now? Her eyes never left mine, daring me to choose. I swallowed the lump in my throat. What do you want from me? I asked, barely able to keep my voice steady. She smiled again. It wasn't kind. It wasn't warm. I want you to help me clean up the mess. The one Kale made. The one Melanie made. I narrowed my eyes, resisting the urge to lash out. What mess? What did Kale do? I asked, my mind racing. She clicked her tongue as if I should have already known. Kale's loyalty was never to me. His loyalty was to a man named DeMarco, the man who runs this entire operation. He's the one who keeps all of us in line. Kale tried to build his own little empire on the side, using your sister, using you, using me, but he didn't realize just how deep DeMarco's roots went. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. DeMarco sees everything, Gabrielle. He always has. And Kale's attempts to play his own game made him a threat. Melanie figured that out, so she became expendable. But you… She leaned closer, her voice dropping low. You're still useful. I stepped back, suddenly feeling like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. You want me to betray Kale, I whispered, the truth sinking in like a blade to my chest. Her lips curved into something that almost resembled a grin. Betray him? No, I want you to join me. We can fix this, Gabrielle. We can take down the puppet master together. But first, you need to understand. Kale isn't the man you think he is. And he's not the one who will protect you. I clenched my fists at my sides, shaking my head. And you will? You think I'll trust you? Her smile didn't falter. Trust? No, but in this game, trust doesn't matter. Power does. And if you want to survive, Gabrielle, you need to learn how to play it. I was drowning in her words. Every second felt like the walls were closing in on me. And yet, despite the shock, despite the betrayal, a part of me, a dangerous part, felt the pull. I'd always been a fighter, always driven by the need for justice. And now, here I was, faced with the opportunity to take control of my own fate. I wasn't going to walk away. Not after everything I'd learned. Not when Kale's life hung in the balance. What do I have to do? I finally asked, my voice steady, cold. She studied me for a long moment, as if weighing my soul. You start by meeting DeMarco. He's the one with all the answers. But be careful, Gabrielle. He doesn't trust anyone. And once you're in his orbit, there's no leaving. DeMarco. The name felt like a weight around my neck, like I was about to step into the heart of darkness. But I knew now that there was no going back. I had crossed the point of no return when I chose to stay. When I chose to fight, I left the building, my mind still reeling, and drove to the address the woman had given me. The place was an industrial complex on the outskirts of the city, dark, silent, the perfect place for a man who had built an empire in the shadows. I parked the car, my heart hammering in my chest. Every instinct told me to turn back, to run, but I couldn't. I stepped out of the car, walking toward the entrance. The door opened just as I approached, revealing a tall man in a black suit, DeMarco's man. Without a word, he stepped aside, letting me pass. Inside, the air felt colder. The walls were lined with high-tech equipment, glowing monitors and large vault doors that screamed power and secrecy. And there, at the end of the hallway, was the man who had been pulling the strings all along, DeMarco. He stood with his back to me, gazing out the window at the sprawling city below. Gabrielle, he said without turning, I've been expecting you. What do you think will happen next? Watch part 2 to see what Gabrielle does next.